Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, everybody. How is it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Happy Monday. Happy, my favorite day of the week. I love Mondays. I love having the new opportunities for just a new week. Kind of feels like a fresh start every Monday to me. I don't know why, but it sure does. So I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. I'm super excited to be sharing some information with you today. On this podcast, I talk a lot about mental health and, how to, of course, live our life to the happiest and the fullest, and everything that we can do to keep on track and keep happy and just keep things going in our direction, right? So I feel like I talk a lot about mental health. I talk about physical health, talk about just our overall well-being most of the time, right? But I have never really dove into emotional health. When it comes to our physical health, we all know that when things aren't running at full speed, right? We feel those aches and pains, we sneeze when we have a cold, we notice when we're a little more out of breath than we should be after running up some stairs, things like that, right? And thanks to all of these signs that we get all the time, we're able to take action to treat and improve our physical well-being, right? And then same with our mental health, right? I feel like a lot of time these days, we are paying a lot more attention to our mental health. We're doing a lot more reflection. There's a lot more mental health advocacy out there in our world. It's just so awesome. And so we do things for our mental health, taking care of ourselves properly, taking hot baths, doing journal reflection, spending time outdoors, getting a good night's sleep. That's for your physical and mental health, right? All these things. But there's also emotional health and being emotionally healthy. There's so much to it. So today I thought I would kind of jump in, give you kind of the bare bones about emotional health. I'm going to be talking about some of the habits of highly emotionally healthy people, the signs of emotional wellness, things that emotionally healthy people do, all these different things. So hopefully that you can maybe relate to some of these, find yourself in some of these examples I'm going to be giving and these things I'm going to be saying, and you can get a better idea if you are emotionally healthy. And just like mental health, it takes a long time to, improve our emotional health, right? It takes a lot of practice and patience, and we got to work on ourselves to get our emotional health up there. But it's so, so important to ensure that we are healthy in all aspects, right? Not just our physical, our mental health, but emotionally as well. Our emotions take a big toll on us. And you can kind of confuse emotional health with mental health, and they definitely go hand in hand. They're definitely related. There's definitely some things I'm going to be talking about today that's a lot about mental health, right? But being emotionally healthy is just so, so important. So most of us aren't quite so tuned in to our emotional health. Seriously, when was the last time you paused to take a notice of your emotional well-being? I feel like we check in mentally, we check in physically with ourselves, right? But we don't always check in emotionally. And emotional and physical health are two sides of the same coin, okay? And caring for our emotional well-being is vital if we are, wanting to live each day with positivity and intention and live each day to the fullest, right? It all goes hand in hand with our mental, our physical, and emotional health. So how exactly do you know if you are emotionally healthy? This can kind of be a hard thing to digest and to figure out for some people. So one of the things is that you are comfortable with who you are. So feeling generally content in life and liking who you are as a person are signs that your emotional health is in balance. And this doesn't mean they have to be happy all the time. That's not, it's not normal to be happy all the time. We will all have our hills and our valleys, right? We don't have to love ourselves all of the time. It's hard to do that, right? But we have to be comfortable with who we are. And we can be comfortable with who we are, but still working to become a better person, the better version of ourselves. So even if you're still working on yourself, but you're just more comfortable with who you are, that is a sign of emotional wellness. As well as if you're adaptable and resilient. So being able to recognize and express our emotions is very key to moving forward when things don't go to plan, right? And this self-awareness really helps us to manage our emotions and avoid emotional trauma. And emotionally healthy people are open-minded. They don't feel emotionally attached to a particular way of doing things. They don't take themselves too seriously, which, helps them avoid feeling emotionally overwhelmed as well. So if you are adaptable and you are resilient, you're able to move forward when you are faced with life's challenges. You also have a positive relationship with the people in your life, the people that you hold dearly. The social aspect of emotional intelligence is so central and crucial to our emotional wellness. And I'm going to do an entire episode, I believe, on just the social aspect of emotional intelligence, because there's so much to it. But being able to communicate with your own feelings and empathize with the feelings of others is a very important characteristic of emotional health. And this isn't always easy, but having a strong support network to help you through the difficult times is a great sign and a source of emotional wellness. So making sure that you are staying connected with those people that you love, building those strong relationships emotionally, that is a sign of emotional health. And if you have a sense of purpose, right? We all want a purpose in our lives, and you don't have to know exactly, your dream career and what exactly you're here for, right? But we all have a reason why. We all have a purpose. And do you ever feel connected to yourself, to other people, and to the world? And having a sense of meaning in your life is not only a sign of emotional balance, but it helps you appreciate the bigger picture. So trusting your own decisions and, preserve when things are tough, right? And so having that sense of purpose, that sense of belonging, those connections, that's really important to your emotional wellness. As well, if you take care of your physical health. So someone who makes the effort to take care of themselves physically, by eating well, exercising, getting enough sleep, these people are likely to be someone who enjoys a sense of purpose in their life as well, right? So, you're optimistic, you're motivated, and you're focused, and someone who feels emotionally strained is far less likely to be opting in for healthy snacks and smoothies, or enjoying a nice exercise or walk outside. So emotional and physical health are so closely linked, right? So taking care of one is like taking care of the other. So you are more emotionally healthy when you want to be taking care of your physical health. So my next one too is you are comfortable with saying no. I am such a yes person. I believe we should say yes to so many opportunities, but being comfortable with saying no is so crucial to your emotional health. And if you're able to hold clear boundaries, so you're able to say no to things without feeling guilty, then that's a really great sign of your emotional health. And emotionally healthy people are not weighed down by the opinions of others. They're not fixated on receiving approval, and they do not feel awkward about asking for help when they need it. And then you make time to relax. This is also a sign of emotional health. We recognize that, we need to recharge our batteries, right? We need to make sure that we can relax, we can sit down, take some time off, and just reconnect, right? Recharge our batteries and reflect on our lives, right? So whether you're doing that like meditation, spending time with friends, you're actually relaxing, taking a nap, doing some relaxing activities like painting, gardening, playing an instrument, or, caring for your pet, hanging out with loved ones, just finding that activity that you enjoy that creates a sense of inner peace. So these are all signs of emotional wellness. I hope you can maybe find some of yourself within these things that I'm talking about, but it is time for a little bit of a break. So when I get back from the break, I'm going to be jumping into some habits of emotionally healthy people. I'm going to be talking about just things that emotionally healthy people do. This is also, you can recognize yourself within these things, and maybe realize, okay, I need to work on some of these areas of my emotional health. It's so closely tied to our physical, our mental health. It all goes hand in hand. So like I said before, taking care of one is like taking care of the other. So when we are emotionally healthy, we want to take care of our bodies, we want to take care of our mind, and it all goes back and forth, right? So lots of information to share with you. I'll be talking about the habits and just things that emotionally healthy people do. So do not go anywhere. I will be right back. I've always had such a hard time finding the right comforter for my bedroom because I live in a place where there's literally 4 seasons in one day. So I need a type of comforter that is ideal for all seasons. So when I started using my Linens and Hutch comforter, oh my gosh, it has made a world of a difference for my night's sleep. It has like a down-like feel, but a soft, creamy texture, so it's so nice to snuggle up in. And the microfiber products are all 100% hypoallergenic, so I never get itchy or anything from it. They're all stitched with expertise, so this baffle box construction prevents the fibers from shifting, which then eliminates the need to fluff your comforter regularly. So not only is like the temperature always perfect, but it's always fluffy and comfy whenever you're ready. So since you are a Life and Happiness listener, head on over to linensandhutch.com/life, enter in the promo code GSMC Life, and you will be receiving 60% off the down alternative comforter.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Today we're talking all about emotional wellness. Okay, what does it mean to be emotionally healthy, and how can we stay in tune with our emotions and improve our emotional wellness just like we are improving our mental and physical wellness as well? So I just feel like emotional wellness is just not talked about enough, and most of us just pay close attention to our health, and we treat threats to our physical well-being as soon as they occur. But it's because we get those signs, right? We know when we're not feeling well, we know when something is off. We dress warmly when we feel a cold coming on, right? We apply antibacterial creams and stuff and bandages to cuts and scrapes, and because we want them to heal. But we sustain psychological injuries just as often as we do physical ones. But we are just so much less proactive about protecting our psychological well-being than we are our physical well-being. And I think it's just because it's not always right in our face, or we suppress those emotions, right? We're suppressing those feelings, and we don't. I feel like our mental health is harder to take care of, right? Because it's just not so straightforward. It takes a lot more time, which is, when we start to push things down, we start to avoid things and not actually deal with our emotional wellness properly. So, what are some habits of emotionally healthy people? Gaining control after a failure, or a mistake, or something that you regret, or something that you're just not so proud of. I think this is one of the biggest habits, one of the biggest signs of emotional wellness, is being able to gain control after something that you feel pretty low about. And failure really distorts our perceptions, such as our goals. They seem so far out of reach, and our capacities seem less up to the task, right? So once we feel as though there is little that we can do to succeed, we become demoralized and we lose our motivation, and we adopt the habit of ignoring this misleading gut reaction, and we make a list of the many factors, that are related to that goal that were in our control, right? So our effort, our preparation, our planning, different approaches you could have taken. And then we need to consider how you might go about improving each of these factors. So doing so will not only combat those, misperceptions, but it will drastically improve your chances of a future success. And so being able to pick yourself back up and gain control after a failure, being able to reflect on it and figure out what went wrong and why, that is a huge sign of emotional wellness. As well as finding meaning in loss and trauma, okay? One of the main factors that really distinguishes those who thrive emotionally after experiencing loss or trauma from those who don't is your ability to eventually find a meaning in that experience and then take a purpose from that, take that lesson and learn from it. Doing this takes a lot of time, and the process of grieving and adapting to new realities, it all takes time. But adopting this habit of searching for ways to recognize not just what we've lost, but what you've gained as well, will allow you to develop this new appreciation for your life and the people that are in it. It's going to help you find that value, your meaning, your purpose, even if you feel like you've lacked that before. If you're able to find the good in a very traumatic situation, find that silver lining, because I promise it is there. It's just not always so clear. That is such a huge sign of strong emotional wellness. Also, people who are emotionally well nurture their self-esteem. So our self-esteem fluctuates because we feel better about ourselves some days than we do others, right? That's inevitable. It's so normal. But many of us become self-critical when we're feeling bad, and we kind of kick our self-esteem when it's already down. And I just did an entire episode on the art of self-criticism and how we can criticize ourselves properly so that we are healthy. We're doing it to improve ourselves, not kick ourselves when we're already down, right? So check that out if you want to find more about this self-criticism thing, because it really ties in to emotional well-being and nurturing your self-esteem. And to improve your mental health, we have to adopt the habit of regarding your self-esteem basically as an emotional immune system. So it needs to be nurtured back to health when it's not doing so well, right? So the best way to heal damaged self-esteem is to practice self-compassion. When you have self-critical thoughts, you just want to consider, what would you do if your best friend had these feelings? You want to write out what you would say to them in an email or a letter or something that you wanted to express this compassion and support to them. And then, read that letter to yourself as if it had been sent to you. It's really easy sometimes to put it in that perspective, write to somebody else and then read it as it was sent to you, so that you can kind of gain that different perspective, because we're not always so kind to ourselves, but we usually are kind to our best friends and loved ones. So my next one is revive your self-worth after a rejection. So this means that you are able to pick yourself back up again, find that silver lining, revive your self-worth. Rejections are very hurtful, and we often try to make sense of emotional pain because we do this by finding fault in ourselves. And our reasoning is that, we hurt so much, we must be really, weak or pathetic or unworthy or fragile or unlovable. And rejection hurts because, it makes us feel like there's something wrong with us because of how our brains are wired, right? So the best way to ease that emotional pain and revive your self-worth after a rejection is to adopt the habit of basically affirming aspects of yourself that you value, qualities that you possess that you find very meaningful. So it's a really cool thing just to write down, 10 things that you love about yourself. I love my loyalty, my compassion, my creativity, my strong work ethic, things like this. things that are qualities that are special to you that you genuinely appreciate and enjoy about yourself, and remind yourself of these. Write sticky notes, put them around your house, write a list, go talk to one of your best friends and get a little pep talk, whatever you need to do to remind yourself of all those amazing qualities so that you can push away those feelings of, the hurtful feelings of a rejection. And when you're able to do this, you're able to revive your self-worth after a hurtful scenario like that. This is a huge sign of emotional wellness. You want to also shed excessive guilt by repairing damaged relationships. This is a huge sign of emotional strength and emotional wellness. Excessive guilt really occurs when our actions have harmed another person. And maybe that person has not forgiven us for our wrongdoing. So these situations usually have more to do with the inadequacy of our apologies, really, than the inability of the other person to let go of their hurt. It's hard to let go of your hurt, right? So what's really important here is an effective apology. And I think an effective apology is filled with empathy. So repairing those damaged relationships, shedding that excessive guilt that is on your back is really, really important for your emotional health. And, it's important for others to truly forgive you, to adopt the habit of conveying effective apologies and, when we've done wrong and all that. But it's also important to be able to forgive ourselves. And if you're able to forgive yourself over something that you have made a mistake about, that is a huge sign of emotional health. Because it's hard to forgive yourself when you've made a mistake. It's not easy. And so when you're able to actually fully forgive yourself, fully let go of that guilt, that shame, which is authentic forgiveness, that is so crucial. So it's not just about others forgiving you, but it's also about forgiving yourself. So those are some habits of emotionally healthy and well people. And it's time for another break, but don't go anywhere because I am going to jump in to basically some more examples of things that emotionally healthy people do. I hope you can recognize yourself in a lot of these. I think they're all pretty relatable, and it can really help you define your emotional well-being and where you need to work more, maybe where you need to just put some more time in, some more reflection, some more work towards, and maybe set some new goals for yourself to improve your overall emotional well-being. So lots of information to share with you still. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the last stretch of GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. I'm your host, Alyssa Jo, just in case you forgot. Hello. We're talking all about emotional health, emotional wellness. What exactly does it mean to be emotionally healthy? Emotional health can be defined in a few different ways. So, having high self-esteem, a solid sense of self, being in control of yourself despite of how you're feeling, which I think is the hardest one, right? So, when you're really angry, you're really sad, you've been really hurt, being able to control yourself, right? Control your actions, controls the words that are coming out of your mouth in those scenarios. That means you are very, very emotionally healthy. And so being able to acknowledge and then constructively express a wide range of emotions to others, it doesn't only help you handle life's challenges better, but it will aid in building those strong relationships. And in the process of releasing unhealthy habits and beliefs, there's a lot of habits that emotionally healthy people do that we all need to pay attention to and implement more into our life. So I'm going to dive right back in to sharing all of these emotionally healthy things that emotionally healthy people do. So they continue to grow their self-awareness. So always working on yourself, always becoming aware of how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, your trigger points. The first step in moving towards becoming really emotionally healthy is self-awareness. So when you practice self-awareness, you are able to see, those habits and beliefs that serve you and the ones that don't. And you can do so by, engaging in that self-reflection and self-analysis on a regular basis. Write in your journal, talk about how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, when you're feeling that way, really becoming emotionally aware of everything going on in your life, right? So that self-awareness is so crucial. Knowing your own boundaries as well, right? So knowing your boundaries and being able to stick to them. That's just like what I mentioned before the break about being able to say no. It's, knowing your boundaries and being happy with them, not feeling that guilt, that shame, and just keeping yourself emotionally safe and happy throughout this process. And, when you are emotionally safe and happy, you're a better service to others, right? You're a better friend, you're a better mother, a better father, a better sister or brother or girlfriend, boyfriend. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, when you are actually fully emotionally healthy and you have these boundaries, you become the better person that you are craving to be, right? That we are all on that journey to do. So knowing your boundaries is a huge one, and forgiving and repairing those damaged relationships when you can, exercising and eating well. This goes with all, like, our overall well-being, of course, right? Our physical, our mental, our emotional health. The mind, body, and soul are all so connected, and healthy people understand that how important each is in regard to the other, right? I said that they all go hand in hand, right? They're so connected. So that means not only wanting to expand your mind, right? So doing your reading and your learning and meditating, but also moving your body and fueling it properly, right? Fueling your brain properly, fueling your emotions properly. That saying like, oh, I'm hangry, right? You're like so hungry, you're angry. And it's true. Like we have to fuel our emotions as well. We all get cranky when we haven't eaten in a long time, right? It's just like, or haven't, we're not hydrated or whatever the case is. So making sure that you're fueling not only your body, your mind, but those emotions for you as well. And then you're going to be able to focus and perform and sleep better. And sleep is so, so important, of course. So what else can I say here? Place a high value on personal development as well. That is a huge sign of emotional wellness. So healthy people can understand that the value of personal development is so important. That's why you're listening to this podcast. You're trying to develop yourself. You're trying to become the best version of you, to live your life to the happiest and the fullest. So, when you're able to grow and learn from mentors and people that you admire, spending a lot of time reading or listening to information about personal development so that you can grow, just like what you're doing right now by listening to this episode right now. You're trying to grow yourself, become that better person, and grow your emotional wellness right now. So having that high value of personal development is a really good sign of emotional wellness. Staying positive, of course, when you're able to stay positive in a negative situation, just like finding the silver lining in trauma or tragedy, finding something, a purpose from it, a reason from it, because there's always a reason for everything that happens. So it's the same thing as finding something positive and always trying to look on the positive side, right? Always trying to make sure that we are finding, that reason to smile even when we've had a really bad day. And so when we are, you will rarely see an emotionally healthy person complaining about their life, because you will see them who, they accept that current situation. They accept the hand that they've been dealt, right? And they deal with it with as much positivity as they can and motivation and drive to make best of the situation that they were given. And these people are problem solvers, right? If you're emotionally healthy, you're a problem solver. You focus on that personal development. You want to get better. You want to fix the situation for yourself, and you want to do it right now. So you'll do everything that you can to stay positive and happy, right? You'll create opportunities to grow, and you'll create your own opportunities, which is a huge thing. And it takes a lot of emotional, mental, physical health to create your own opportunities. But once you are continuously doing that, that is a big sign of emotional wellness. As well as practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude is a healthy way to attract more of the things that you want in your life. And if you want more love, be grateful for the love that you have right now. If you want more money, be grateful for the money that's in your pocket right now. Healthy people understand, and they actually really honor the law of attraction by practicing gratitude. You know, they understand by giving thanks and shifting your thoughts onto a positive rather than a negative. I love my morning routine. I have my coffee and I write 3 things that I'm grateful for today. And it's usually things that maybe I'm having a hard time dealing with, or if I'm having a hard time with myself, it could be 3 things about myself. It could be 3 things about my family, the world, anything at all. Anything that I feel grateful for that day. And it's a really good daily reminder that you need to appreciate what's in your life right now, what's in front of you, instead of always, focusing on the future or the past, or I want this and I want that and I want more, right? So practicing that gratitude, that's a big sign of emotional wellness, because you're able to connect your emotions and be grateful for here right now, even though, yes, maybe you do want more money, or maybe you do want more love, but when you're grateful for what you have, those things will come better. It's kind of like manifesting your life a little bit. So I love, having my morning coffee and writing the 3 things that I'm grateful for. If you want to add a healthy habit to your routine, I highly suggest doing that. It's just such a nice reminder. And I have one little book, I have one little notebook, and it's just my gratitude notebook. And it's filled with all of these wonderful things. And I love keeping it all in one notebook, because if I ever, I'm feeling really off track, feeling like I'm losing my purpose, just feeling mad at the world or mad at my life, it's a nice little book to grab and remind myself, wow, look at all of these amazing things that I do have in my life that I am grateful for. And then the last thing I'm going to say for emotional wellness is that emotionally healthy people let themselves feel their emotions. You don't suppress them. If you're angry, you write out your anger. If you're sad, you write out that sadness. When you're happy, you fulfill that happiness as much as you can, right? Like, you will let yourself feel guilt, shame if you have to, feel that hurt, that pain. And because if you actually let yourself feel these emotions, it's not going to stay for as long. If you just suppress them and try to move on from them that way, you are going to have more pain in your life. You will not be as emotionally happy, is really what it is. You won't be physically happy, mentally happy, anything at all. You have to be able to release these emotions, and to release them properly, you have to let yourself feel them. If we bottle things down, we're going to explode, and that is definitely not an emotionally healthy situation to be in. So making sure that you are letting yourself feel those emotions, but setting yourself boundaries too. Yeah, I'm going to feel sad, but this isn't going to ruin my entire week. Okay, maybe I need to take some time to feel sad today. Wake up and feel better tomorrow. Set yourself some boundaries, set yourself some lines, but always, always, always let yourself feel those emotions. Well, that is all I have for you today on emotional wellness. I hope it was beneficial. I hope you were able to clue into some things maybe you need to work on or that you recognize in yourself. Thank you so much for listening to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. I've got new episodes out every single Monday and Thursday, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and follow us on social media, and always leave a 5-star review. It means the world, and I love reading them. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Stay happy, stay positive, and let yourself feel your emotions. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.